Samuli is our game designer and an amazing crafter. Not only does he invent games, but he builds them. He literally builds them physically. In this episode, we'll talk about his atypical background and what it's like to shift from virtual to real-life games. You suck, bro. Hey Samuli, how's life going?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Thank you for leaving your tools on the stand and joining us for this interview.
Yeah, sure.
So what are you building at the moment?
Well, there's quite plenty of the stuff actually going on in my hands at the same time. I'm doing stuff, said at the same time, virtually and physically. Physically, like, you know, I was actually repairing this table, and virtually I was creating this 3D scan out of one of our toys.
So you're working on a new game too, I guess?
Yeah, constantly working on a new game, and the next one is going to be so big one. Like, there's already loads of work behind, and oh boy, there will be plenty ahead.
So you're our game designer, but as I said, you're also very skilled with your hands. How did you learn your crafting skills?
Well, learning, I don't know, like I think there's a little bit in blood as well. Like, you know, my mom is constantly crafting something little like, you know, I don't know what it is, like, you know, with canvases and stuff, like, you know, then I don't know, when I was little, I found out that, like, our warehouse was full of tools, and I was kind of, I don't know, reckless kid, like, you know, when I got something new, got bored about it, like, after a few weeks, and then I was, like, you know, doing something to it, like, I don't know, screwing extra screws on it, or whatever I found out. And, yeah, eventually it kind of developed by itself, like, then I had, like, you know, basic woodworking lessons in school, and, little by little it went to, like, you know, modifying whatever I got, tinkering whatever I found out. Sometimes it was making, like, practical pranks, like, you know, like creating some sort of, like, I don't know, traps and such, and so on. So, and then, I don't know, getting good enough, like, in generally doing things by hand, I started fixing things myself, like, you know, instead of, like, calling somebody doing, like, any professionals doing it, and that so on. So it kind of, yeah, that was kind of the basic development, how I think most actually crafters also get it, like, you know, in during life. And then for a little while I was also working in event production type of way, like, you know, actually, like, building up the constructions and such in festivals and indoor events and so on. So there's kind of, like, you know, getting together from pretty various sources, this all combined.
And is there a piece that you're the most proud of that you built? The one magical piece you did?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I don't know. It's probably something that I don't remember anymore. So it's probably something work related that I have done somewhere, like, you know, during creating, like, you know, Helsinki festival. I don't know, staircasing or something like that. But the one maybe like that I had in my childhood, basically, is actually from those woodworking classes, and it was this little game, actually. like I'm like this is the thing. Like, I've been kind of making games since I was a freaking this tall, and it was the reason behind, like, you know, why it's so memorable for me is that I don't know why and how, but I came up so obsessed to make it so finalized, polished in a way. So I sanded it like weeks of classes, like other guys were already going for the next projects and so on. I'm still sanding this one thing, this one particular plate, like, you know, to the perfection, like, you know, and I tried it, like, to be as smooth as possible and so on. And then it was like, you know, that, okay, it was so good that there was, like, no way anymore, like, you know, if I wanted to be having, like, you know, that, like, maximum smooth sandpaper anymore, it should be, like, you know, basic print paper to not have too much grit anymore in it. So it went that far. And the game was like, you know, chessboard type of thing that had a fling ball to it, and then you had these little knobbles you tried to, like, you know, just fall, to push and fall them, like, you know, from the plate with the ball and flinging, and that was the thing, that was the game. And I was so obsessed to just polish it to the final point.
Do you still have it?
I believe I don't. Like, you know, if it would be somewhere, it would be at my mom's place, but I guess she has gotten rid of it.
Yeah. And so it's funny because you started with real life. Actually, you started by crafting stuff before going into the virtual world. And when did you decide to start going for virtual games? I know you're an animator and you were trained and you did a lot of VR. Can you talk about your progress in these fields?
Yeah. I guess the little spark came out somewhere when I got kind of again really into playing video games, and I was playing those days. I was playing through mostly the Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and the Brotherhood, and it kind of, I don't know, because it was the first time that I really got this kind of, like, you know, playing through a movie type of feel about the game. I got this little idea that would be so cool to somehow create these kind of things, and then it came out to be like, you know, that I was a little bit lost, like, you know, going forward, like, you know, which school I would attend in those days future, and it was kind of like I didn't have any clue that even in Finland was a possibility to actually study game industry related studies, and I kind of then again grounded the whole thing, the idea, the little spark about the idea, and so on. But it flashed again in this one event, which was, like, you know, held in Messukeskus, which is this place where, like, you know, well, masses and stuff are held, like, you know, events, like, you know, related to almost anything. And there was this one presenter girl who grabbed me and asked, like, hey, what's up? What's your business around here? What you're looking after? Like, you know, it was game-related stuff there those days. And then I was like, yeah, I'm just interested about games in general and so on. And she explained, like, you know, that, hey, how would it feel to be able to study game industry in Finland? And that kind of got me like, wait, what? Really?
So given your broad background in real life, in virtual life, you have this skill set that is super wide. Why did you decide to join Surrogate?
It felt really challenging first, like, you know, what I was going to have in front of me, and really the idea to have something like digitally controlled, and then seeing the real life things be somewhat connected to them, like, you know, it's they're acting commands after people doing, like, you know, pressing just a button even on the other side of the world. It's a really intriguing idea already, like, even as a concept as that. Then seeing all that in front of my eyes and being like that, hey, you can probably do whatever you want in this scale, in this type of way, and an idea. It was like, you know, what is not to like? Like, seriously, what is not to like?
So is there something in particular that excited you to join the company?
Pretty much everything. Like after all, when I got to, like, you know, get introduced to you all guys, and having this space around, like, you know, what is here, and then I was told, like, you know, yeah, like this is not even all the tools that we're gonna have. Like, you know, you can even ask anything almost. Like if you need something, we're totally gonna get it if you are able to, like, you know, create anything out of them. And then just somehow the feeling of that there is no limits at all. Like, you know, just unleash your imagination and creativity to the fullest and go with it. That was really big for me.
Yeah. When your family asks you what you do, what's your job, what do you answer?
First I'm try to annoy them, like, you know, that it's gonna be something, like, you know, too stupid for them to, like, you know, think that that's a real job. So, like, you know, yeah, I play around with toy cars until I realized that, okay, that's actually really a thing that I do. Like, you know, I I move robots. Like I make games with robots basically, and that's kind of making them to realize what it is. And then I had to explain it even further, like, you know, showcase it to my mom, like, you know, from a laptop, and I showed her the Batman, and she was like, oh, this is really cool. I actually played this type of game, like, you know, back in somewhere, and like, you know, she was explaining the Windows pinball game that was, like, you know, back in the day all the kids played when the internet got down or such. And I was like, yeah, Mom, but that was digital, like, you know, that's a real thing somewhere, like, you know, I hear that thing clanging all day at the office, realize that. And she was like, you know, so if I press now here, something happens there, and yeah, it's an instant. And then I see, like, you know, this little hamster running in her like head, like, you know, figuring it out and being like, that is actually really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is. That's, Mom, what I do.
Yeah. And what's your actual job here? If you had to describe it to anyone, like, what do you do on a daily basis?
My daily base is the design, how we gamify all this equipment and tools, toys, robots, how we make, like, you know, enjoyable game experience with them.
Okay, that's pretty short. That's efficient.
It's an elevator pitch being like,
yeah,
you need to know me. It's in 11 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned that you played video games a lot. Is there a video game that influenced you towards what you're building here? And is there a dream game that you would love to do at Surrogate?
Well, generally, like, you know, if I'm really a fanboy of something, is the Halo franchise. That's something I cannot stop playing, and now that they redid it for PC, I'm so excited about it, like, you know, constantly playing it. Then something that influences me to here, I would say pretty much that on PC or PlayStation I don't really have any like, you know, specific one, and that's maybe something that gets me there to kind of figure out even that maybe that's kind of the gap I need to fill in, something that I don't have on console or PC, not yet, not like ready. Maybe that's something that I create at Surrogate. I would love to do, like, you know, Demolition Derby type of game, like, you know, if you remember the movie Death Race from 2000, like, you know, high action movie where, like, you know, it's in prison, they have these amazing grim looking cars, they shoot them, like, you know, they have like machine guns and bazookas on them and shoot and explode themselves, and there's kind of two gameplays in them, like, you know, either you survive through or you finish as first, and to be, like, you know, in the lead of that game. That would be something. But, well, destroying cars with all the maintenance it would take in real, it's kind of something that I need to figure out how to maybe fetch it. Maybe I have parts that might fall off, but they are easy to, like, put back or something. I don't know. It will come up.
Yeah. Actually, that brings us to an interesting question. It's about your process to create a game here. How do you start? Do you go from the limitations of real life and you start to imagine from there how to build a game? Or do you go from your ideas first and then you try to fit reality into your ideas?
There's few approaches. It might be, like, you know, it's a kind of request type of thing, like going to a customer type of way. So it's somebody, like, you know, from the company, like, you know, it might be Shane that comes up to me, like, you know, that, hey, I wish you would create something like this and this and this, and then I take that pitch in. Maybe I kind of start already declining it. Okay, I think that I cannot, like, you know, create that, and then it goes through negotiating and kind of, like, you know, throwing ideas to each other. That's really one way. Then other is kind of like that. Okay, like the pretty basic, like, you know, almost any designer and almost anybody who plays games is, like, you know, what I do not have yet, like, and I want it now type of way, and how then it evolves to the point that I need to kind of prove myself the idea that, okay, could this be doable and so on. And then there's the one other way, which is like, that I just take time, like, I go to a more or less quiet place, like, and just think through, like, just random throws here and there, like, it's kind of same thing that I pretty often do if I just want to do drawings, scribbles and stuff, is something that I have pretty same type of thing. I just do basic shapes and try to, like, just collide them and see what comes up, and then just have a total random idea that I need to somehow convince to Shane, like, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah, so you start from the ideas.
Mostly, yeah.
And then good luck to make it happen in real life, as always.
Well, so far so good.
Yeah, we have games that work. It's always amazing to see that people are playing. It's live, it's real life. It's really satisfying to see that.
Oh yeah, that would be like, I don't know why, like, okay, like not why, but like, we sometimes maybe we should have, like, hidden cameras here to show, like, even for every player that we have out there, like, how we feel when we see something that we have done and created and struggled with to make it work starts working like that. And oh boy, I tell, the SumoBot arena was me something like I haven't witnessed ever before in my life. After, like, these hands made, like, structure that up, and then Severi plugs it into the electrics, and Saku is already sweating, like, thinking about that could there be something wrong in the code and so on. Then we see, and it just pops up and brights up,
And it works.
It's amazing. Maybe that's the thing that you previously asked, like, if there's something I'm really proud about, maybe it's that. Right?
Yeah,
right,
that game, the last game. Maybe.
Yeah.
Earlier in your life, you spent a few years in the army. How did you end up in the army? What pushed you to sign there, and what did you do there?
Well, we're in Finland, and I'm a Finnish man, so it's kind of the same way as kind of all of us. So it's a conscription, so we have to go there and spend a little while. Well, first of all, when it was that time, I wasn't happy about the idea of going to army. I was a punk kid, so I was really against it. Then I was kind of, well, I rather go there and struggle through than go to, for example, to prison. Like, I don't want to do that. that sounds horrible. So then I was like, okay, I go there, I do the minimum, I get out, and that's done. Then it came to be the first day, and I'm like, okay, there's either two ways. I'm the minimum time and I'm out, or I'm the maximum time, so I have everything experienced. Then I was heard, like, okay, I get to the in-between, and even better, punk kid got to be already chosen to become military police. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. They're like, you can't do anything about it. You're gonna go there and be that.
Yeah, that's really funny for a punk kid to end up in the army, but not just the army, the police in the army. It's like the worst case scenario.
Yes,
for a punk.
And believe it or not, like, if you hear jokes about any, like, insider jokes in the army, it's like everybody hates those cops.
Yeah.
Like, they hate them. Like, those are the naggy ones, and so on, posh and stuff, and they drive everywhere with their cars and so on. And yeah, I was part of them.
So what was your job there? Was it to pick up drunk military guys from the bars, or to discipline them?
Sort of, really. But yeah, it's kind of what we were trained for was kind of like, if you think the concept that somebody in real life goes way too far, Grand Theft Auto around here, so they collect enough stars in real life, and cops are being like, we need somebody to do something about it, and when you get the 5 stars, it's military after you. So I'm kind of one of those, like, I'm called in, and if somebody is going way too much GTA in real life in Helsinki.
Yeah. You also enjoy metal music, of course. I want to use the cliche that, of course, you're a Finn, you love metal music. It's the country with the most bands in metal music here. It's So how did you end up listening to the metal music, and do you have some favorite bands at the moment?
Metal music, it has been quite far, like, going with me. Like, I was pretty young when I started, like, liking metal music. It was something like, the basic way that, like, one of your siblings influences you with something, and it was my sister who was, like, listening already, something like that, and I was, like, picking up some tunes and being like, this is pretty nice and interesting and so on, and then it's just endless slope practically, like, you just go deeper and deeper and deeper and steeper. And yeah, these days some tunes that I listen are for some people maybe too harsh, but it's about the taste. It's just you just listen what you like. And I even created a Spotify list to share, like, for everybody who are interested, like, that okay, how far this guy goes. You can go and check it out.
You're so Finnish that not only you love metal music, but you love ice hockey also, obviously. Do you have a favorite team, and do you play yourself?
Yeah, NK alltid Helsingfors IFK. So it's Helsingin IFK ice hockey team, and that's been my favorite one since a kiddo. And I haven't played ice hockey actually, like, in a team ever, and not even in the indoors rink, what is the main one used in NHL and so on in professional way. But when it's winter, good winter, like, we have ice and snow, then I go ice skating and like, so-called pipolätkä, which is kind of like, it's this relaxed way of ice hockey. So it's just, that you don't even have all the equipment, like, just gloves, your stick, puck, and skates, and go there and just shoot some goals and so on. So I do that as well.
Yeah. And you play floorball.
Yeah, then that's my main sport at the moment.
What is floorball for people who don't know?
It's a lookalike to ice hockey in a sense, like, there's 6 guys on the field. One is the goalkeeper, and there's 5 members on one team, and then there's the other team with the same layout. And it's an indoor sport, lower walls around you. You play with the ball, really lightweight plastic ball, and then lightweight plastic sticks, and it has pretty much the same principles. It's not as like, in contact physical, it's not as impacty as ice hockey is, but also, like, really tough and fast sport, and has the same type of idea of gameplay, like, you pass the ball to other guy, and the other guy shoots and tries to make a goal, and the goalkeeper tries to, like, save the goals, and so on. The after 3 rounds of 20 minutes, the one who has more goals done wins. So yeah, that's it.
And in the team here, people play floorball every Thursday morning. You played this morning, I guess?
Yeah. I also join sometimes. Like,
did you win this morning?
I wasn't there this morning.
Okay.
But it's sometimes when I go there, it feels nice to be, like, doing sports with the friends from work and so on. And it kind of, to me, it seems like it also brings this, like, other personalities, these sporty personalities out of others, like, how they be on field. I'm a bit different person on field, like, I'm more like calmly focused and like into the game, like, I don't do that much, like, maybe those fanciest type of tricks. Of course I try something, but so on. I wanna be, like, game maker and so on. And such, and then, like, like Stan, I didn't have any clue that Stan can run that fast and long. Like that guy runs, and I didn't have any idea when I first time went there, and he surprised me totally with it.
I had no idea either. Well, it's good to know to learn stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I guess
my pleasure.
I'm gonna let you run to your desk and keep building the stuff we're doing right now.
Sure, thanks.